What a pity! Their little boat reached land. The children leapt out into the shallow water and dragged it up to the beach. Tim pulled at the rope too, wagging his tail. He loved to join in anything that the children were doing. "Shall you take Tim to Alf?" asked Dick. George shook her head. "No," she said, "we haven't any time to waste. We must go and tell everything that has happened. I'll tie Tim up to the fence in the front garden." They made their way to Kieran Cottage at top speed. Aunt Fanny was gardening there. She stared in surprise to see the hurrying children. "Why," she said, "I thought you were not coming back till tomorrow or the next day. Has anything happened? What's the matter with Dick's cheek?" "Nothing much," said Dick. The others chimed in. "Aunt Fanny, where's Uncle Quentin?" "We have something important to tell him." "Mother, we've had such an adventure." "Aunt Fanny, we've an awful lot to tell you." "We really have." Aunt Fanny looked at the untidy children in amazement. "Whatever has happened?" she said. Then she turned towards the house and called, "Quentin! Quentin! The children have something to tell us." Uncle Quentin came out, looking rather cross, for he was in the middle of his work. "What's the matter?" he asked. "Uncle, it's about Kieran Island," said Julian, eagerly. "Those men haven't bought it yet, have they?" "Well, it's practically sold," said his uncle. "I've signed my part, and they are to sign their part tomorrow. Why?" "What's that to do with you?" "Uncle, those men won't sign tomorrow," said Julian. "Do you know why they wanted to buy the island and the castle?" "Not because they really wanted to build an hotel or anything like that, but because they knew the lost gold was hidden there." "What nonsense are you talking?" said his uncle. "It isn't nonsense, father," cried George indignantly. "It's all true. The map of the old castle was in that box you sold, and in the map was shown where the ingots were hidden by my great-great-great-grandfather. George's father looked amazed and annoyed. He simply didn't believe a word. But his wife saw by the solemn and serious faces of the 4 children that something important really had happened. And then Anne suddenly burst into loud sobs. The excitement had been too much for her, and she couldn't bear to think that her uncle wouldn't believe that everything was true. Aunt Fanny, it's all true. She sobbed. Uncle Quentin is horrid not to believe us. Oh, Aunt Fanny, the man had a revolver, and oh, he made Julian and George prisoners in the dungeons, and Dick had to climb down the well to rescue them. And George has smashed up their motorboat to stop them escaping. Her aunt and uncle couldn't make head or tail of this, but Uncle Quentin suddenly seemed to think that the matter was serious and worth looking into. Smashed up a motorboat, he said. Whatever for? Come indoors. I shall have to hear the story from beginning to end. It seems quite unbelievable to me. They all trooped indoors. Anne sat on her aunt's knee and listened to George and Julian telling the whole story. They told it well and left nothing out. Aunt Fanny grew quite pale as she listened, especially when she heard about Dick climbing down the well. You might have been killed, she said.